Hey both, welcome to a Revenue Hub discussion with our expert partners. Looking forward to talking with you both today and hearing, we're going to be looking at how a partnership between you two guys and your organizations that challenges a lot of the narrative that has been coming out towards the end of last year and rolling a bit into this year, which is all about the one platform for everything. And I think what we're keen to do, and what you guys obviously want to highlight, is that maybe that's one side of the story, but also best of breed approach when it's done right could also be a very strong alternative. So before we get into that discussion, I'd be keen to get you both to introduce yourself. So Firas, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself first of all, that would be excellent.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Trevor. Great to be back here with you. I'm Firas. I'm the Director of Revenue Operations here at HotelIQ. So I oversee all of our commercial activity across our marketing, sales, and partnerships. And I've been at HotelIQ we're coming up to 9 years now, actually, which has gone by way too quickly. But very, very happy to be here and talking about this new partnership today.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Mudasser.
Thank you so much, Trevor. So my name is Mudasser Tariq, and I lead the strategic alliances and partnerships for RateGain. And Firas, I beat you by a year, so I am almost touching 10 years at RateGain now, and predominantly working in the US region, US and Canada, North American region, and working with partners such as yourself.
Brilliant. So let's cut to it. Firas, if I can come to you first. So what problems, we're going to be talking about the partnership here, but before we look at how that was, before we look at the partnership, we've got to look at why it was necessary. So what were the problems that your customers were facing that you couldn't solve alone just with the HotelIQ solution? Sorry.
Sure. So let me speak to HotelIQ a little bit, what we do. So we are a business intelligence and analytics platform for decision intelligence, primarily for commercial decision making for hotels. Mm-hmm. So what we do really well, we have a lot of depth and knowledge, and what we offer in the platform is internal intelligence, right? So we're looking at a hotel's systems, pulling information out of there, making it easily accessible for them so that they can build their strategies and inform against their strategies with that data. But what was becoming apparent to us in conversations with our clients and with prospective clients is that was only one piece of the puzzle, right? The other side of that coin is the competitive intelligence that is so necessary for hotels to be able to make decisions today. And so what they were telling us is, what you're giving us is great and it's really in depth, but if we could have this other piece and we could bring that together, that would really be very, very powerful. Because the reality today is that they are using solutions for that. Of course, most hotels today are. But because it's not integrated in a thoughtful way, they are toggling between different disparate systems that don't connect. Or they, in some cases, they have to settle for a solution that does all of this in one, but doesn't really do either one as well as HotelIQ and RateGain do. So, we found that we were experts in our field and we needed this other piece, and we wanted to, bring in somebody who's an expert in that area as well.
I've got you. And so I guess Mudasser, that brings us nicely onto you. So what's the disconnect that you see with rate intelligence tools then?
Yeah, so there are quite a few things which RateGain does, and let me take a step back. We at RateGain, we have been almost doing this, rate intelligence for about 20 years now. We are also in the distribution and marketing space. So predominantly what we have seen is that the rate intelligence products have been, limited to one view of the market, which is just, doing rate shopping. Mm-hmm. What we try to bring together is not just that, but also bring intelligence from our marketing platforms, from our distribution platforms to give it a holistic view.
Okay.
Now, coming back to Firas's point, I think the disconnect also is in the usage of the product, in the sense that a revenue manager has to toggle between different screens, as Firas pointed out, to make sense of the data. So this partnership essentially, takes all of that away, and you don't really need to toggle all of that, different screens. Mm-hmm. Your data comes right into your inbox. And if you need to do some details, if you need to drill down, then of course you can go to the to the platform and look at the details,
Yeah.
etc. But predominantly, from a decision-making standpoint, you have everything in front of you in your screen at that point of time. And from a data, accuracy and sufficiency and the scale of data which we shop, all of that is pretty large at RateGain. As you might be aware, we do hundreds of billions of shops every year, right? We work with OTAs, we work with hotels. One of the other reasons which we found that the hoteliers really miss is the accuracy of the data. So
Right.
we take real pride in the accuracy of our data. We make sure that every data point which we deliver is accurate, is as fresh as possible.
Hmm.
And and the testimony to that fact is we work with some of the largest of OTAs. And if the OTAs know the value of that data and the freshness of that data, and we have been working them for over decades now, so that's really adds value to our overall offering for the customers.
That makes a lot of sense. I guess the obvious question, is it an obvious question? I don't know. But you guys have both established yourself over the years in your own space for the expertise that you bring. A lot of people, I guess, would argue as if to say, well, with the depth of knowledge that you have and the expertise to build the solutions that you have built so successfully, why, if you could see the need for this other piece of the puzzle, why didn't you just build it yourself? I mean, Firas, why could you guys not have gone in and built a rate shopping solution and added that on?
I mean, we could have from a technical perspective, I guess so, but we probably would have been recording this video in like 2028 or 2029, maybe something like that. No, but I mean, seriously, RateGain is such a big player in this area, right? Like Mudasser says, they've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
They have the depth and the breadth of the data that's required. I don't want to compete with that, right? I don't want to build something that's going to look like I built it in my backyard in 10 minutes. Best of breed, go with who knows what they're doing well. And that's why it really wasn't even a consideration for us to build that kind of product. It's outside of what we really do and what we do well. It just doesn't make sense commercially.
Understood. And Mudasser, from your perspectives, I mean, surely a BI tool would have felt like a natural add-on, no?
Yeah, absolutely, Trevor. And you're right in saying that we could have built it, but we have not done it for many reasons. And one of them, Firas pointed out, is because of if somebody has already invented the wheel, why do you want to reinvent the wheel, right? I mean, it's better to do partnerships there. So one is that, of course, and the other thing is, I think we really want to focus on certain aspects of the hospitality tech industry rather than doing everything, right? I mean, of course, we can do everything
Sure.
given the time and money, if that's unlimited, then of course we can do everything. But really, it does not make sense if there are partners like HotelIQ out there, and there are other RMS partners we work with. We really don't want to get into the revenue management space, that much. We are happy with, providing data and
Yeah.
data at scale, which is valuable for partners. And really, it is all about solving the needs of the industry while innovating at the same time, right? So
Hmm.
we'll rather focus on innovating on our data products and making sure that, partners like HotelIQ get everything they need, to be able to make that better decision for the hotel.
I've got you. So kind of both of you are saying the same thing. It's like focusing, you know what you do well, focus on what you do well, build, continue to evolve that to improve the offering to your hotel customers. And then at the end of the day, identify where there may be a gap and find other companies with the same philosophy and the
Yep.
same best of breed and bring those two together. So it's that classic that one on one is greater than the sum of its parts, so to speak, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's an approach that we're taking with partnerships in general. RateGain is just one of the partners that we work with to, enable our users to have different tools and bits and pieces of intelligence. But yeah, you nailed it.
Okay, I got you. Let's actually try and put this in some sort of context. So, our audience are general managers, operations, revenue managers, digital marketeers. So, can we kind of, Firas, if we can come to you first, and let's kind of base this in. So, if I was a revenue manager, I come in on a Monday morning, I log in. What do I now notice that's different if I
Yep.
have taken advantage of this partnership that you guys are bringing to me?
Sure, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to speak to that. So let's, paint a picture. Say they're looking out at a future period. They're looking at, how am I picking up for this future period? How am I pacing? Now, previously, that would only be internally, right? How am I doing versus myself same time last year?
Yep.
Now we can bring in that competitive view, right? So how am I doing versus my competitive set for that future period? And they say, oh, okay, well, maybe my comp set is raising rates, 90 days out. What's going on, right?
Hmm.
What's behind this? So now they can click on that Navigator app within HotelIQ, which has a single sign-on, so we don't have to, clutter ourselves with more logins and passwords. We all have too
Nice.
many as it is.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
single sign-on, we go right into the Navigator platform where we have the full spectrum of everything that it offers over there. So they can then do a deep dive over there into their competitive rate intelligence and analysis, understand what's going on with the market, who's doing what, why we're seeing those rates going up, and then they can make their own pricing decision, right? Either, oh, I need to increase my rates for this reason, or I'm gonna, hold steady or take some other route. And so they're able to make that flow from beginning through end really seamlessly and bring all the different data points, stitch everything together, and it just flows from one point to the other. You're not jumping around between different tools and reconfiguring things and stuff like that.
So they kind of come in on a Monday morning and suddenly their mind's blown because here's a whole load more information that enables them to kind of enhances what they were doing before.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. For people who were using probably one or the other tool in isolation before, now we've just added, like I said, there's a whole other side to that coin
Yeah.
that we've unlocked for them.
Makes a lot of sense. And Mudasser, from your perspective, I mean, this everyone talks about this flowing of data. What data actually flows into Hotel IQ rather than what's sitting and staying in Navigator then?
That's a great question, Trevor. And I was actually going to add to what Firas was mentioning
Mm,
previously. So there are quite a few, data elements which are available within Navigator due to the other, products which we have, as I mentioned previously.
yeah.
So the core of the product remains our rate shopping data, which is our market intelligence data, which goes into Hotel IQ as well.
Hmm.
There is some analysis which Hotel IQ does at their end, some visualization also, where the hotels can have a quick look of what the competitors are priced at. But if you want to do a double click and if you want to see what really is changing in the market and what really is going on, maybe look at pricing trends, maybe look at your own position on various OTAs, your competitive position on the OTAs, maybe looking at parity, and last but not the least, maybe looking at demand, right? So we also have a big demand engine, and we forecast demands for the future check-in dates. So you can have a look at that as well to see what is actually leading to that change of demand. So all of that can be done at a Navigator product level. And last but not the least, looking at the clutter and all that information overload which you're talking about, we also have built-in AI now in the product.
Right.
So if a user enables a push notifications on their app, imagine driving to your office on a Monday morning and you get a notification that there is a high demand date out in the future, let's say 25th of December, and your rates are out. Your rates are less. The competitors are selling, let's say 15-20% higher. Do you want to do something about it? And imagine if you can take decisions right on the fly on those kind of notifications. And these are not, it's not a notification overload. They are very pointed, recommendations which come to a revenue manager based on the AI feedback which we have received, and we continue to develop that to make sure that the demand is high, the competitors are selling at high, you are 15% lower, and your parity is not there, so your direct business might be impacted and so on. So you have all these various parameters which get into play, and the AI engine actually gives you specific dates. So let's say not look at the entire 90-day spectrum, but look at only 10 days in those 90 days because that is where it matters the most.
Gotcha. Okay, so a real world scenario then. So, and a major, let's say today I've got a major event has been announced 6 months out. So we're looking mid-August. There's a big event that's just been announced. How does something like that, a real world scenario, translate, and how would this combination of RateGain and Hotel IQ deliver me results? I don't mind which one of you wants to jump in on this and start it off.
Sure, sure. Well, I mean, Hotel IQ, like I said, is going to have your internal intelligence, right? So
Yep.
you're going to know for that demand period, right? Let's say it's a concert or a one-day event, something like
Yep.
that. You're going to know as of, as we get in there, how am I pacing for that period? How am I picking up for that period? What have I got on the books? What's my reach to my forecast? What's my reach to my budget?
Mm-hmm.
What are the constraints that I have in place, right? Do I already have a big piece of group business on the books for that date? Am I already, constrained in terms of my occupancy, or am I, totally wide open and this is great news for me?
Mm-hmm.
So with that one piece, that's going to inform, sort of the limitations, what the reality is, and how you're going to derive your pricing strategy.
Yep.
What Mudasser is, I'm guessing what he's going to talk you through is what's happening in the market and how you can,
Yes.
time things accordingly with that.
So what I was going to add to that is we can get that information over to HotelIQ very quickly and to the revenue manager as soon as the concert is announced, and maybe the competitors have already started working on the pricing, or it's just that the event has been announced, because Navigator also has event data which is ingested and digested within the system. So we know that the new event has been announced, and there is a potential that it might be increase. It might be leading to an increase in demand. And that really triggers our AI engine to look at that date specifically and send a notification to the revenue manager to look at it in the detail. And then, of course, they can go to HotelIQ. So one is identification of that date, and second is what should be done. And maybe it's the opposite, right? Maybe it's another case where where a concert or an event got cancelled, and that might lead to a dip in demand. So what do you do around that, right? So all of that information can really flow seamlessly, very quickly, between the systems.
Excellent.
Exactly. And I should add to that, actually, I should have mentioned it earlier. Like Mudasser said, RateGain and Navigator has really rich event data, right?
Mm-hmm.
That can impact your demand one way or the other. It's not there yet, but I would love to be able to bring some of that event data into HotelIQ so that when you're looking, if you have both pieces, both tools, and you're looking at and you can say, what is going on that weekend? Oh, that is this event, this concert, right? It's this thing. That is what is driving my demand. Just to be able to bring that, those sort of insights to the surface again.
And I guess that gives you a chance because, as you mentioned, Firas, you may already have some business on the books for that date, but you may know it may be other, small groups business, for instance, possibly. So you could talk to the sales team and see if those dates were flexible to be able to try and move that, so that then you can maximize on the demand that's likely to be coming in if there's now a major event occurring. So having that knowledge to look at everything together in one space, and being able to see what the competitor movements are already doing, as you say, what the demand is, what demand signals you're picking up, and really give you a chance to try and maximize that RevPAR and not miss any of the money on the table.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It's, what are the constraints that are in place? What's happening in the market? How can I strategically position myself for success for that event?
Mudasser, I want to just come to you if I can, because when you're looking at competitive intelligence, it's been spoken about for quite a while. But I know that there are some blind spots that exists that maybe aren't obvious. I know we were talking about this before. So could you just kind of highlight what are some of the blind spots within competitive intelligence that maybe hotels don't quite realize to the degree that they should?
Yeah, actually, there are quite a few blind spots which we believe that hotels should be looking at, further. So one of them is the various points of sale of various channels, right? So whether it is OTA or a brand.com, you need to be able to see your competitors' data on various platforms, various points of sale. How is a guest in UK, looking at your rate? What is your rate showing up in UK on an OTA channel is something which you might also be interested in, because you get, let's say, 20% of your guests come from the UK, you are in the Vegas market.
Yep.
So that is something which you should certainly be focusing on, is looking at various points of sale. And then within the geographic IP, which I just mentioned, you also have mobile apps, right? So almost 70-80% of the bookings are happening on the apps these days. So it's very important for you to look at what's going on the apps, and also figure out if your competition is actually doing some accelerator programs on various apps, maybe running some promotions on the mobile apps, specific to mobile apps, so that you can also devise your strategy around distribution to those different platforms. So that is one. And then the other thing which is very, very important is having a look at parity, at the same time, because
Yep.
we understand, and the hotels also know, that direct business is very important. The brand integrity is very important. So at the same time, while you're looking at a competitive, scenario, you should also be looking at your own internal rates on various platforms and how are they being floated around, and also look at these different channels which I just talked about. Like, look at your parity on mobile apps, look at your parity on various points of sale, because that's where your business is coming from. And imagine if you are able to plug that 20% gap by making sure that you're in parity, then you are increasing your business, your RevPAR essentially, and your bottom line by making sure that the business comes direct.
And I guess because of the scale that you guys have as well, if you don't have a solution like RateGain, then
Yeah.
you're potentially missing, quite a large chunk of the
Yes.
distribution pie that you're
Right.
just not seeing what's going on.
Yeah, so and I just wanted to add a few more things around that. So RateGain, and I mentioned that at the start of this conversation, that we have a lot of data from different verticals within the hospitality industry. So whether it is distribution, so what is happening on your distribution pipes, and you can tap into that and look at your parity, etc. Then we have travel intent data from our marketing products, right? So we have so much data around our demand product, that is also a very important piece for you to look at from a revenue management perspective. I think what you get in the market right now is a limited view on demand, but we shop, airlines, we shop car rental companies, we shop cruise liners, we shop, a host of different travel industry. We even shop parking lots these days. So you have all that information which is available, which we as a company kind of club it together in a data lake and then make sense of that data for various products. So we have a product for car rental companies wherein they can adjust their inventory dynamically by using our data. And similarly for hotels, we have this entire data lake which tells you the demand for a particular check-in date into the future based on various parameters, travel intent, based on actual flight bookings, what kind of travelers are coming in, and now we are even going into CRM enrichment, so we know what kind of profiles of people who are coming into your geography, whether they are a American Advantage member, program member, or whether they are a Hilton Honors program member. So all of that, different kind of information is available with us, which we kind of stitch it together, and we continue to innovate on that to make sure it becomes a really important piece in the life of a revenue manager.
Yeah, no, that makes it. I can see where the value of that is.
See, we're
So
we're not going to build that. We're not building that before 2030.
Firas, quick question for you. Revenue management has been spoken about for years and years and years and years and years, right? And everyone feels that they're doing it to differing degrees. Some people feel they're doing it pretty well. So where does I guess the question I always have is you've got your revenue manager sitting there. They may have a pricing solution or not. So I guess the question can often be, okay, but so now I've got an intelligence solution. Why do I need that? What is that helping me to do? Because it infers that I'm missing out on something. Can you kind of expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, yeah, that is the case for a lot of hotels, but there are also, a large number of hotels that don't even have that base level.
Hmm.
We're used to the former case because that's kind of the area we play in, but
Yep.
it would surprise you to know the number of hotels that aren't even at that level yet.
Right.
And so for them, if you're not ready for that kind of a full-fledged, RMS style solution, you could use something like a HotelIQ RateGain combination to get you most of the way there.
Okay.
Is what
Right.
I would say,
Got you.
right? So again, it's bringing together the internal data, which everybody has, but we're making that internal data so easily accessible, and then adding in the competitive piece to it, right? So you're able to see the inside versus the outside, both of those things together. An example again to make it real for people is, say we're looking at it in the future and we are pacing behind, for versus same time last year versus
Yeah.
yourself internal data for a future period. Is that a me problem? Is there something going on in the market? How do I know that, right? So within HotelIQ, we can tell you that across a number of different dimensions, right? I can tell you what's wrong, why you're pacing behind through the lens of your market segmentation down to rate codes across your distribution channels, which geographic source markets are pacing behind, which room classes and room types is it in, if it's a travel agency or corporate business, right? Where I can give you all of that based off of your internal data. But at the end of the day, it's still only one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
So with that, the navigator data, what you would then be able to see is that, oh, okay, actually the market is, pacing behind. There is market decline there for whatever reason, prices are pushed down or there is the demand there, right? You'd be able to see the demand indicators in Navigator. So I'm not going to panic discount
Yeah.
because I'm in line with the rest of my market.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And that's I think that's probably a real world example that makes it very concrete for people what exactly is possible with this.
No, that makes sense.
And then doing forecasting, right? Everybody struggles with forecasting. It's so challenging to do a demand forecast. Things can change at the drop of a hat.
Hmm.
But now again, we're able to do that forecast and layer in the competitive data to understand what's happening in the market. I believe strongly that would help you dial in a better forecast. You're broadening the scope of your vision when you're creating that forecast or that budget. And then the last thing that I think is very important that I would touch on is a lot of our clients operate in multi-property scenarios, right? They're operating portfolios. We have clients with whether it's 10, 20, 50, several hundred hotels, right? We cover the full gamut with our clients. It can be very challenging whether you have properties in the same markets or in just different markets. And so again, using both of our tools, we do that very well. Both tools create those portfolio level views for you so you can really easily get a holistic view of your performance. Where, if you have 500 hotels, we can do that for you across both tools, and create that kind of vision for you. So I think there's a lot to be gained by combining the two tools together.
And I know in previous conversations we've often spoken about how people it kind of talk about data, 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 but sometimes it almost feels as if it's data for data's sake. And I know that you have always Hotel IQ been or stress that it's not necessarily about just business intelligence, it's about decision intelligence and actually turning this data into intelligence that you can use that leads you to taking actions and making decisions. That that doesn't seem to have changed at all through this partnership. It just seems to have enhanced that partnership by adding more data in that enables you to make stronger decisions and act accordingly. Would that be fair?
Exactly. I mean, we're data people, right? So that's where our mind goes first. But what you have to keep in focus, and for me, is it's not just the data itself. It's what can you do with it? What are the capabilities that this unlocks for you?
Hmm. That makes sense. And Mudasser, you concur with that?
Yeah, I mean, we have talked, about a lot of functional benefits which a revenue manager will get. So we will give you faster access to data. Your response time will be much faster to your competition, etc., etc. And Firas can talk tons about data, and I can also talk tons about data. But another thing which I think we should point out is the commercial benefit which the partnership brings to the table, and that is, we have given a really special pricing to Hotel IQ customers. And you can sign up on the product on HotelIQ papers. You don't really need to come to us to sign up. So there is a very integrated approach to commercials. There is a very integrated approach to support. So you have the support is well stitched together. So you don't really need to come to RateGain for any support of rate shopping. It can be answered by the HotelIQ team as well. So we have kind of knit the partnership really tightly together to make sure that the revenue manager doesn't have to run around different places for getting things done. As simple as changing a comp set, for example, or changing a schedule of a report. Everything can be done seamlessly through this integrated partnership, and all of that comes at a at a good discount for the hotelier, where they can save some dollars by looking at the integrated product.
Also important. Let's just go back a moment to where we started the beginning of this conversation, which is that this trend over the last 6 months or so of, okay, you got to consolidate everything. It's, it's back to being like the one-stop shop. Consolidate everything, have one platform that does the lot for you. Now, you guys have articulated in the 20 minutes or so that we've been talking that really you're firm believers of maybe a different approach. So why do you believe that? Very quickly, Firas, why do you think a best of breed is better than a one-stop shop approach?
I think with all-in-ones, you're more often than not, you're inherently giving something up, right?
Hmm.
Because they're trying to spread it across so many different product areas. There's something that is being given up there, right? With a best of breed approach, we do one thing and we do it very, very well. That's the approach that we take. And so it enables you to have, different tools that I think the most important thing is best of breed where these sorts of partnerships and deep integrations exist. If you're going for a best of breed approach and that doesn't exist, it's going to be a nightmare for you.
Good point.
But what these sorts of partnerships enable is for you to use the two best of breed tools together in a very seamless kind of way. So we're prioritizing, like I said, that depth over the breadth. And at the same time, all-in-ones can be a bit of a risk for hotels, because if you come around to renewal and they say, okay, well, the price is going to go up 20%, they've kind of got you, right? There isn't a lot you can do. If you have to replace two, three more multiple tools in a very short period of time, it's going to be like a mad dash to go, right, find all your options, go do demos, go figure everything out. You're probably more often than not going to take that year over year increase, and they kind of know that from the conversations that I've had with some hoteliers.
Yeah,
So that's why I think you're ultimately better off going with best of breed.
that makes sense. Mudasser, your view on the best of breed?
Yeah, so and I agree with Firas on quite a few points. One is, of course, there is inherent benefit of having a unified platform for sure, right? But at the same time, you cannot have a unified platform for diverse set of products, right? You have to have a unified platform for certain things which you can do and which doesn't really change a lot by bringing them all together. So that is fine. But at the same time, if you're looking at something very specific, like a BI tool, for example, where it is a lot of integrations are required to get in data, right? So it will be really hard for you to get all that data into a unified platform also. So you need some kind of best of breed to bring that data together and make sure. So for example, an RMS can does a really good, rate recommendation, but you can't expect an RMS to do a lot of rate shopping, because rate shopping involves it's a different beast altogether, right?
Yeah.
People talk about inherent unified platform, but it will come through a partnership with a rate shopper. You can't really expect an RMS to do to that. And similarly for BI products as well, and similarly for distribution. So we are also a company where we are focusing on unified platform for various customers of ours, but that does not mean that we take away the best of the breed approach also. It has to be, best of both worlds. So some things which can be brought together will be brought together, but some things, which we really can't do ourselves have to be deeply integrated and they have to be best of breed. So we have to bring those integrations also into play.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But I think there is a caveat to that, is that the specialization and best in breed solution coming together only really works if the connections are right. And I don't just mean technically connected. It's like understanding what the customers need, what the customers want, and making sure that those products are properly integrated. Otherwise you just end up almost like the other platforms where you've got these two different solutions, but they're just not working as effectively together. Would that be fair?
One is that for sure, Trevor, that they should be working at this point of time very deeply, knit together. But at the same time, what we should also look at is the future proofing of your technology, right? So you should be working with partners who are closely integrated now and also have the vision to go together into the future, right? So innovate together. and stuff like that. So we have this partnership with HotelIQ will really mean that the feedback from the customers is taken into account very, very seriously, and we innovate towards customer feedback, whatever requirements come from the market, etc., etc., and we continue to do back and forth so that the combined offering is always best in class.
Yeah.
We can't really sit happily saying that, okay, right now we are the best, but we have to future-proof ourselves as well. And that is where the partnership really, stands out.
In terms of thinking about when you mention customer feedback, I mean, focusing on the customers, who do you feel this solution, i.e., your individual solutions, but in partnership? Who should be seriously evaluating this? What position would they be in at the moment if they're listening or watching this? And you would say, right, if you're in this situation, we should be talking.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you are using either an all-in-one system that isn't meeting your needs, if you're using multiple systems that are disconnected and you're jumping back and forth, and you're not finding value in that, I think this is a very strong offering that I would definitely recommend you take a look at. If you, and I know this is the case for a lot of people, right, if you're in a commercial team, you're spending way more of your time collecting the data than you are actually analyzing it, whether that be your competitive data or your internal data. Again, where we've kind of solved that problem for you.
Yeah.
And then with all of that said, when you expand that across multiple property scenarios, it just compounds everything. If you're doing manual work and you're having to do it across multi property scenario, there's no efficiency gains there, right? You got to do the same amount of work for every single hotel. So you absolutely should be reaching out to us. And then lastly, what I would say is, if you have either HotelIQ or RateGain Navigator, it really makes sense for you to consider the other one, right? Join the two things together, and then allow us to take the capabilities even further.
Very quickly then, I mean, whenever you're thinking about bringing a new solution in, the obvious question is, okay, well, this is going to take a lot of time and effort to get it implemented. So what's the timeline for implementation?
Sure, I can speak to that. So for HotelIQ, actually, well, in Q4 last year, we did our fastest ever implementation. We did it in 2 weeks. So
okay.
It can be as quick as that for HotelIQ on its own. And then if we're adding the RateGain Navigator add-on on there, I think it's a matter of days. If you're an existing customer of RateGain, certainly. If you're a new customer to RateGain, I think it's maybe more weeks. And on the shorter end of that, is that right, Mudasser?
Yeah, it's going to be days. It's no more than that.
Okay.
For us.
Beautiful.
Makes sense. And works with an RMS if I've got an RMS?
It's seamless, right? So if you have an RMS, we already have feeds built into most of the RMSs around the world. So it's just about checking a box for us. So once the product is implemented in a few days, the feeds will automatically go to the RMS as well.
Makes a lot of sense. And I guess then thinking about all that we've discussed, what has struck me is that in today's markets, and it's been spoken about for a while, but competitive intelligence at scale and accuracy just really aren't optional anymore. I mean, that is a given. If it can be helping us to be generating more revenue, making sure we're not leaving on the table, making sure we're responding to the demands of our competitors at a much faster pace. I mean, they're my kind of final thoughts. But what would your final thoughts be, Firas? How would you sum it up?
I'm super excited about this partnership and about what it enables for our users to be able to do. I always say with HotelIQ, what we do is about making better decisions faster. And I think combining and bringing in the navigator data, bringing in that competitive piece, adding it onto HotelIQ just really amps that up. So like I said, better decisions faster, bringing in a wider scope of view, and really unlocking that capability. I'm really, really excited about what we can do and what we're going to do with this into the future, and how we can make things better for our users.
Perfect. And Mudasser, final thought from you?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually what we talked about is that we are making a data overload into clear, actionable insights for the revenue managers, right? So which eventually leads to more revenue, of course. So there is faster go to market. You are able to capture your demand really well, and make better decisions without really needing to go through the entire data overload, which has its own complexities, right? So we'll make it simple, we'll make it short, we'll make it concise, we'll make it very pointed for you to make your decisions and get more business.
Perfect. Thank you to both of you. And we'll make sure in our notes with the video that there's they've got every link that they can to connect, find out about the partnership, book a demo, kind of engage with you guys. So thank you so much. Pleasure to talk with you. Been really good to hear about the partnership, but more importantly, the value to hoteliers, because ultimately that's what it's all about. So I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
A pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.